I just thought it was a really beautiful script.
My Policeman may have drawn some early criticism after Harry Styles put his foot in his mouth during marketing, but the real love between these actors shines through the screen anyway. Let's talk about the behind-the-scenes stories that helped make My Policeman so touching.
He knows who he is, and he's incredibly proud.
Number 1. You can say a lot with a simple touch. Director Michael Grandage brought on choreographer and frequent collaborator Ben Wright to help add an extra layer of intimacy to nearly every scene in My Policeman. Wright would train the actors as intimacy coordinator, taking special care with every small touch between them, and he even choreographed the love scenes to make them feel almost like a dance.
Patrick, I can't. Then I'll do it, I'll tell her.
Number 2. Talk about a whirlwind meeting. The first day that Emma Corrin, David Dawson, and Harry Styles arrived on set, the 3 actors were thrown into a sound booth and made to sing around a piano. Corrin would later reflect on the experience as being a really clever way of breaking the ice. Styles, in particular, felt very at home in the sound booth because it was like a recording studio, which is Harry's natural habitat. His confidence probably helped his co-stars quite a bit because, as Corrin would add, we both were scared.
Let's have a toast. To Marion.
No, and to all of us.
Number 3. Our leads had to get real close during rehearsals. Quarantine had a massive effect on the way that My Policeman was filmed, with the cast even performing their initial meet and greet through Zoom. Rehearsals were often done in groups of 3, meaning that our leads got to know each other pretty well before they even got to filming. Emma Corrin would later comment on how this definitely had an effect on the trio's on-screen chemistry, stating that things might have been different if they rehearsed in groups of 6.
If the audience wasn't buying into their friendship, then the fallout of everything and the way that they deceive each other wouldn't hit the same way.
Number 4. This was a full-time job. Fans of Harry Styles may know that he has plenty of tattoos, 56 at least, and every single one of those tattoos needed to be covered with airbrushing by a team of 3 makeup artists. As the film's hair and makeup designer Daniel Phillips pointed out, the story is set within an era where regulation for policemen would not have allowed tattoo artwork to such an extent, and so plenty of time was spent to make sure that he believably looked the part.
I can't draw you if I don't know who you are. Right.
Number 5. One book can change your life. That's certainly the case for producer Robbie Rogers, who came up with the idea of adapting My Policeman after reading it during a time when he had been struggling with his own identity.
I kind of feel like the book found me.
Rogers then approached the author, Bethan Roberts, about his idea of turning it into a movie, and she could tell that he really loved the book, and it meant a lot to him personally, so it felt like, okay, you're going to protect it.
There's so much passion in his work.
Number 6. What's more important, historical accuracy or fashion? Although costume designer Annie Simons spent plenty of time looking through old Pathé newsreels and family photos for inspiration, she ultimately decided to opt for costumes that would suit the actors best. The policeman's uniform that Harry Styles wears in the film is a more inviting and youthful blue, rather than the traditional black, for instance, which Simons felt would have looked too authoritarian. Number 7. My Policeman is sure one stunning movie. Much of the novel is set in Brighton, and so the film shot on location, using famous English landmarks like Palace Pier, as well as a few buildings of historical significance like the Royal Pavilion. The scenes that find Tom and Patrick completely free exploring Venice together were actually shot in Venice as well, which is actually where filming wrapped at the end of the 3 weeks. Number 8. This is not the must-watch list we were expecting. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Grandage admitted that he took inspiration from films such as the 1963 black and white drama The Servant, especially with its use of mirrors, as well as the 1973 horror film Don't Look Now. This latter movie included a love scene that was somewhat controversial at the time of its release, and Grandage was hoping to capture a similar level of intimacy.
I could bring a sort of personal voice beyond just the director's voice.
Number 9. So is the movie author approved? Bethan Roberts has made it no secret that My Policeman is her favorite work to date, and so if anyone should be a harsh critic to please, it should be her. And yet, Roberts has described the whole experience as being overwhelming, considering how long she's dreamed of seeing it happen. Roberts has said that Harry Styles is perfect for Tom, and she's expressed a lot of respect for Emma Corrin as an actor, while describing David Dawson as Patrick as terrific.
Hello. Here I am, just as promised.
Number 10. Talk about different takes. What was it that made Rupert Everett's performance as the mute Patrick so moving? Well, if you ask Grandage, he'd say that the credit goes entirely to Everett, who was able to evoke some pretty intense emotions using his face, even if he didn't have much of a script to work with.
His expressiveness as an actor was still there.
Everett, on the other hand, gave all of the credit for his performance to the other talent on set, stating, "Most of my work is done for me by the other actors. I really just have to sit there and reap the benefits because the idea is so poignant."
And then did become a project of passion, I suppose, after a bit.
Number 11. These things tend to happen when you're running late. David Dawson and Gina McKee only had about 10 minutes to pick up the Best Ensemble Award at the film's premiere, when they wound up getting stuck in the elevator for about 30 minutes. It wasn't all bad, though. McKee would later recall the event by stating that Dawson was definitely the person you want to call on in case of emergency.
I mean, just so collected. Very impressive.
Number 12. Emma Corrin wasn't the casting director's first choice for Marion. Lily James was originally in talks for the role when the movie was first announced. But when James stepped aside, attention then went to Emma Corrin, who recently shined on The Crown as Princess Diana. Grandage would later say that Corrin was perfect for the role because she brings an honesty and simplicity that comes from a very open place. Number 13. It's hard to find a star. Usually, directors are forced to reach out to actors to fill a role, but it was actually Harry Styles who contacted Michael Grandage through his agent, specifically requesting the role of Tom. Grandage wasn't at all put off by Styles' relative inexperience, simply because Styles was able to prove that he'd done his research and that he was incredibly passionate about the role.
I feel incredibly lucky to have been a part of such an amazing story.
Number 14. Did you know My Policeman is based on a true story? Although Patrick, Tom, and Marion are fictional, Bethan Roberts took plenty of inspiration from the real life of writer E.M. Forster for her novel. Forster fell in love with a married policeman who was 46 years his junior, and he even went to live with this policeman and his wife when he fell fatally ill in 1970. The letters written by the three during this time reveal an intense love between them, and Roberts wanted to explore how such a love would grow. Number 15. Maybe he could have worded this better. When discussing My Policeman in a 2022 interview with the Rolling Stones, Harry Styles drew criticism when he stated that the love scenes would be more romantic in nature than anything we've seen in similar movies. This led some to accuse Styles of being less aware of the marginalized community he claims to represent than he should be, with some even accusing him of faking his identity for clout. Styles responded by pointing out that he's never publicly discussed his relationships because he prefers to keep his love life private. It seems the entire cast of My Policeman truly did have a lot of fun filming it, and their time together has only formed a deeper bond. How do you think that translated onto the big screen? Could you feel a genuine love between these characters? Let us know down in the comments.